On October 14th, 2021, the worst nightmare for a parent became a daily living reality for New Jersey mother Jamie Moore. Her daughter, 14-year-old Jashaya Moore, disappeared after making a run to two local neighborhood stores. For 28 days, Ms. Moore, who also has a son, canvassed the city of East Orange and surrounding municipalities in search of JaShyah. Her advocacy, along with that of her family and soon after local activists, reached nationwide news. On the evening of the 28th day, she received a call that all parents of missing children pray that they get. Local authorities told Ms. Moore that JaShyah was not only located, but safe. However, when Ms. Moore went to what she thought was a meeting to be reunited with her daughter, she was arrested and charged with child endangerment. Subsequently, her 3-year-old son Jaden was taken away and is now in child protective custody along with JaShyah. Ms. Moore agreed to speak with Ark Republic about her experience and current fight for both children. This is an Ark Republic exclusive.
Let's embark on the Ark Republic to hear current news that's published. More than gossip and chatter, covering current affairs that matter. We talk issues with professional views, all keeping you in queue. We wanted a higher vibe for these days and times, to free the voices and minds, reporting the sign of the times, so all can build. Let's shine, yeah.
Okay. So, Ms. Moore, what made you decide to do this interview?
Well, I didn't really have a chance to comment after I was charged with allegations of child abuse and child neglect, which I felt was unfair. I didn't get to thank the people who was out there day and night helping me look for my daughter, all of the people who gave up their time, volunteered, and I just wanted a chance to first thank everybody for their help. And by the grace of God, JaShyah was found. And I'm still happy under the circumstances of everything that's happened, but that's always been the primary goal. Bring her home safely, and she is safe and she is at home. So that was most important. I really wanted to do this interview to kind of respond to some of the things that were, being said about me, about my family, about my children, that are just not true. And I would like to set the record straight. And I feel like I needed a platform where I could respond. Of course, I don't want to do anything to, upset anybody or anything like that. I just would like the chance to thank everyone who helped look for my daughter, and also to comment and defend myself, because I love my children. My children are the reason my heart beat. My heart is actually broken right now that my kids are not with me, and it's just one. And I'm pretty strong. I've been through a lot in my life. And I'm a single parent of two, a beautiful girl and I have a son, Jaden, Jashaya. I just want people to know who I am. I'm a mother first. My kids are everything to me. I will never hurt any of my children. Of course, I did not know that JaShyah ran away. I'm the one that called the FBI. I'm the one that called the police. I'm the one. I did this alone. No one was with me. It wasn't something from media at the time. I was a concerned parent who had never been through anything like this before. And if you have children, I imagine that anyone in my shoes would have done the exact same thing. I complied. I did everything I was supposed to do. And I didn't care what the cost was, as long as I found my daughter. That's all that mattered to me. That's all that still matters. I'm smiling on the inside because I know my baby is okay. Graduations, birthdays, all that stuff, So I just want a chance to respond and let people know who Jamie Moore is, because there's a lot of judging going on.
Yes, I want to get into that just very quickly. So you were arrested on the day that you thought that you were to be reunited with your daughter, Jashaya Moore. You were arrested and detained. You were charged with 2 counts of child endangerment and neglect. Subsequently, from what I understand, both of your children are now in child protective services. Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes, that is correct. Jaden and Jashaya, they are temporarily out of my custody, um, which is, it's hard. I fought so hard to keep us together, and I come from this diapers, I was adopted. This is something that a cycle, a chain I tried to break from my family, you know. Um, I wasn't raised with my mother. Me and my brother January, Yolanda, and my little brother Joel was raised with my mom, so it really was important to me to keep me and my kids together, to keep our family together, you know. Um, I was just as shocked as everybody else when I thought I was going to see my daughter, hug her, kiss her, but I was put in handcuffs and hauled to the correctional facility. I mean, I had no understanding. I think I didn't even have a chance to process anything, nothing. It was like, okay, you have to answer, a few questions, and I just want to see my daughter. I just want to see Jashaya. I want to see her.
So,
And that didn't happen.
Ms. Moore, have you spoken? There's some feedback. Okay. Have you spoken to Jashaya or Jaden?
No, not at all.
Okay. So I want to, for those who are new or unfamiliar with the full story, I want us to kind of take it back to the beginning of when this all happens. Is that all right with you? Okay.
Yes, that's fine.
So I want to actually go a couple of days before Jashaya went missing. What was life like for her, for you, for your family at that time?
Um, you know, I thought my children were happy. Children, playing, laughing, happy to be with their mom. We had a tough couple of years, we had a fire the year before last, that displaced us for a little bit, and then there was a domestic violence incident with my husband, so that kind of, broke me down a little. I had to pick up the pieces, get my children to a safe environment, away from, out of danger. And, it's just been rebuilding after that. But primary goal, keeping them happy, making sure they're okay, not doing anything to, it's hard when, you have these traumatic situations, and then, it affects the kids. It affects you, but you still have to be strong. You still have to keep going because they're looking at you, nobody's bigger than you in their eyes. So it more for me, it was just long as they were smiling, they were happy, whatever they needed, I did my best to provide for them, and that's all any mother can do.
Unfortunately, Ms. Moore is not alone in her experience of a domestic violence, and in particular, within the duration of government-sanctioned quarantines during the height of the COVID-19 health crisis in 2020 and early 2021. Domestic violence during the pandemic caused a heavy toll for intimate partners around the world. So much so, the United Nations called domestic violence against women during the COVID crisis the shadow pandemic. According to the American Journal of Emergency Medicine, domestic violence cases increased by 25 to 33% globally in 2020. Specifically, in New Jersey, where Ms. Moore resides, a September 2021 report released by the Family Practice Division of the New Jersey courts shows 35,000 domestic violence cases were filed in the courts in 2020, despite COVID-related court closures. This is a jump From 2019, when 33,600 cases were reported and courts were fully functioning and open. So disturbing were the numbers in domestic violence cases in New Jersey that lawmakers introduced bills for new measures to strengthen protections for New Jersey's domestic violence survivors.
Okay, so Ms. Moore, according to reports, the domestic violence case that you are talking about, your estranged husband, Justin Jackson, who at the time of the incident was an East Orange officer, an officer in the East Orange Police Department. In the reports, it says that he struck you as well as your daughter, JaShyah. Is that correct?
Yes.
And currently, he is suspended from EOPD at the time of JaShayah's missing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. After the domestic violence case, as I'm hearing, you left where you lived with your husband. Did you move to where you were the day that JaShyah went missing?
Yes, ma'am.
And where was that? Whose house? Where was that?
Well, that was a family friend. He was my friend. I've known Mr. Muse. His name Clyde Muse, also known as Omar, if that's what we call him. I've known Omar about 20 years. He's been in my life for a long time. He was always a friend, someone I considered a friend. He was there for JaShyah growing up. He was not her biological father, but he stepped in and, he helped me raise her. He knows that he's not her biological dad, but and we were not in a romantic relationship, but he's always been there for us.
So what do you mean he helped raise her or take care of her? Did he help pay bills? What did he do?
Okay, so I've always had my own apartment. Okay, my kid, before Jaden, it was just me and JaShayah. I lived in Jersey City for about 7 years, same address. Me and JaShayah, I had a 2-bedroom apartment, and JaShayah had her own room. I had my own room, fully furnished. I had everything, and Mr. Muse would do things like buy gifts for Christmas for her, toys. He would help out with anything I needed help with, like diapers, if I needed help with formula, things like that. He was always there. He was always there. I won't ever take that away from him. He helped with her. He stepped in, and she didn't have a father figure in her life. Her father was not there, and he stepped in.
Was he the main provider for JaShyah?
I was the main provider for JaShyah. While I lived in Jersey City, I worked in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And I worked there for about 6 or 7 years. Always worked and provided for my family. Mr. Muse assisted with when assistance was needed. He would help with birthday presents and things like that. But I am the sole provider for my family. I've always been.
And what were the living arrangements at Mr. Muse's house?
Okay, so from the point of when the domestic situation happened, we had a 2-income household that was now, because of the domestic situation, I have to do this on my own. Okay, so I needed stability, and these kids had already seen too much, from the fire. So that was unexpected. I was not planning on that. When we, me and my husband were together, we were a team. So, financially, it mattered, when he was gone, that made a difference. So I didn't have the means to move right away. And, I don't know everyone's situation, but I know for me, it's like I wasn't living check to check, but I didn't have enough to just up and move at that time. So I reached out to Mr. Muse, and I explained, that, I'm trying to keep me and the kids together, but I'm a little, I'm a little afraid because I don't have anywhere for us to go, but we need to leave here.
Lack of housing during the pandemic was one of the key issues for domestic violence survivors attempting to remove themselves, and if they had children, from dangerous environments, especially when stay-at-home orders were issued. Plus, with overall economic instability during the pandemic, Miss Moore became one of millions who had to decide if they should remain in their current living situation or leave. What has been documented by researchers looking at the first few months of lockdown, to shelter in place during COVID-19 and be in violent relationships at home, often became an indirect path to social and economic crises when the victims fled their dire situations.
Mr. Jackson, he still, that was my ex-husband. He still had keys and things like that. So it was a matter of urgency to get out of that house. So Mr. Muse said that we could come. He had a 3-bedroom apartment and he said he had the room. So he said that me and the kids could come. And I assured him that this would be temporarily. And I would save up to move. Once I got on my feet, I will move out. And that was always the plan. The kids and me, we all had a bedroom. I had a king size bed, so they slept with me most of the time. And then there was the third room that JaShyah and Jaden would keep their like clothes, toys, things like that. But he invited us to come, no problem. And we moved.
Okay, and from what I understand, this is all going on during the pandemic.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so this is all going on during the pandemic, but you remained working?
Of course, yeah. I thank God.
What
I remained working through the pandemic. Worked for an awesome company. I was afraid, but they kept me. They laid some people off, but I was able to. I was blessed to keep my job with them, so I worked through the whole pandemic.
Were you living there for free?
No, I paid Mr. Muse. He charged $100 a week. And that was doable for me. And on top of having to save to move, so that was no problem because I got paid every week. So.
Okay, and how was JaShyah as a student at this time?
JaShyah at this time as a student, I would tell JaShyah, like any parent, you're learning remotely over the computer, so you have to make sure you log in, you have to complete your assignments. But because I have to log in too, so I'm not going to be able to sit here, while you are logged in, but I can check on you from time to time because I get breaks. I get 2 breaks of 15 minutes, and then I get a 30-minute lunch. So I can come and periodically check on her while she's logged in and doing her assignments for school.
So how was she how did she perform? What was her performance like?
Well, during the pandemic, I wasn't, I would say that the children, they're learning remotely, and it's not an in-classroom setting. The teacher's not standing right there. So there were times where I caught JaShyah playing the game. I caught her sleeping. I caught her not logged in, but pretending to be logged in. And, I explained to her, your teachers are calling me, letting me know you're not on the camera. So I'm aware of what's going on. It wasn't easy because a lot of times we're logged in at the same time. So I could jump. I'm taking active calls because I'm on a headset, so I'm dealing with incoming calls, and so if I'm on a call and I'm like trying to peek in on JaShyah, but I'm still having, to do my job. So there were times where I wasn't always able to jump off the phone and run in there and say, Shia, are you logged in? Or check to see if she was logged in. But there were times where her teachers reached out to me and say, she didn't log in for this class or this class, and I would show it to her, and she would assure me, oh, I'm sorry, mommy, I'll log in tomorrow. I won't do this.
This is, I want to say, Ms. Moore, this is something that was an issue across the board, across the country, for parents who had not had to engage with their children while they were learning. What you're saying was a very normal phenomenon in a lot of situations, which was one of the. I'm a teacher, I'm a professor. Right. And I come from teachers. My best friend's a teacher, and there was always a negotiation. I have, family members who have children. I have a sister who has 8 children. So this attempting to balance this all of a sudden shift, it sounds all too familiar.
Yeah.
But my question is, why wasn't JaShyah in school at the time of her disappearance?
Okay, so I didn't agree with sending her to school first without being vaccinated. That was first and foremost. I didn't agree that I wanted her to necessarily have the vaccination right away. I didn't get the vaccination right away. I was against the fact that they allow children to return to school without being tested or vaccinated. That's my opinion. I have to kind of word what I say, because I don't want to do anything that to compromise. Okay.
So my question is that in not having the vaccinations, what were the steps that you as a parent took to express these concerns to the local school officials, and what was their response?
Well, I said I went there physically to enroll her. They said, no, you cannot come in. You have to take her to the enrollment center. So I was like, okay, no problem. Where's that? They gave me the address. We went there, but it was like no one was there. It was no cars outside or anything like that. So then I went back to the school and she gave me a phone number to call. So when I got home, I called the phone number. I called the Board of Education also. And they said, Miss, this is the protocol. You just have to follow, every city is different. So this is the protocol for East Orange. I sent them an email letting them know that I would like to enroll my daughter. And that was it. I sent the email. No one responded. I sent another email. No one responded. Shortly after that I say about a week or two after that, that's when, this incident happened with JaShyah. We were in the process of transitioning her to be enrolled in school. And by this time she was vaccinated, because I said, okay, I got to get you vaccinated,
Similar to many school districts, East Orange still only offers online enrollment for students. While the district does not offer the exact or approximate time it takes to enroll a child, on their website they do say the time required to complete a registration depends on the complexity. Jashaya Moore not being enrolled is part of the 1.3 million K-12 students in the U.S. who didn't enroll in or during the pandemic for a myriad of reasons. Also for New Jersey, the state saw a 3% drop. With the gross tech disparities and lack of resources for schools in low-wealth communities and communities of color, makes a case like Ms. Moore much more difficult to navigate during COVID-19.
So can I ask, you moved from wherever you were to East Orange. Was what grade was she going to?
JaShyah was going to high school.
Oh, so she was going to high school. So this is a whole nother, I forgot. I haven't done K-12 in a long time.
Yeah.
You're moving to a whole nother bracket of age grouping. Right. So she's going to high school. She's
Mhm.
changing school districts as well.
Yes.
Okay. And she's also changing cities.
Right.
So from what you're telling me is that you get to East Orange and you say, as a parent, I am unsure that I want my child to attend school unvaccinated. And I'm unsure at this point for her to get a vaccination. Because at this time, there were still studies coming out whether or not a certain age range should be vaccinated.
Right.
But after she gets vaccinated, you then call East Orange School District to get her enrolled.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
And that's exactly how it went. We got our vaccinations pretty close around the same time. I wasn't sure that I wanted the vaccination. It was just, that was me. And I'm definitely not giving it to my children because I was afraid. I was afraid. Okay. So I'll just say that.
That's perfect. And that's perfectly fine, especially since, and we'll talk about this if you would like to talk about it, you dealing with a health crisis as well, and what the ramifications might be. But I want to let's get more into when Jashayah disappears. I want to ask a couple of more questions before that. What was your relationship with Clyde Muse leading up to the days that Jashayah disappears?
Mm. Hmm. You ever heard of the term like frenemy?
Yes.
It's like, I would say that's always been my relationship with Mr. Muse. Is on one hand, he's, when things happen, he's there. He's always been there. Um, Anything I've ever accomplished in my life, if I ever excelled in any area, Mr. Muse was never happy for me.
During Miss Moore's detention hearing, Essex County prosecutors identified Clyde Omar Muse as the corroborating adult to Jashayah's accounts of abuse. Ark Republic reached out to Mr. Muse, who declined to be interviewed.
Why would you place your children in the vicinity of a man who you feel was your friend on one hand or was an enemy on another?
Because Mr. Muse has never hurt me. He's never put his hands on me or my children. He's never physically hurt me. Friends argue, they have disagreements. I mean, he's a man, I'm a woman. I know that he wanted for us to be together at, one point, and that's not what happened. I grew up, when I met him, I was 20, and, things changed. I grew up, so would I think he would hurt me or my children? Or no, never. I don't believe that he would harm us. So I wasn't fearful of Mr. Muse. But I've always had challenges with him when it came to like when I graduated from college or just got my driver's license, got a new car, went to out of the country for the first time, got my passport, things like that. My vision was always bigger. I always want more. And Mr. Muse has always been content with Newark or East Orange, so to speak. Like, that's it, no more to life. And I wanted more than that. And I felt like Mr. Muse wasn't always happy for me. Like, he was the support system, one of the only ones that I had. So I didn't understand, and I still don't. Like, why is it that you act like you care and you always there for us and you say you always there for me, but at the end of everything, it always turns out that you're like, he's old enough to be my father. And over the years, sometimes I started to look at him that way. I didn't have a father growing up. I had a papa growing up and he passed away, but Mr. Muse was like that. Like after a while, he wasn't just like a father to Jashayah, but he was like a father to me too. I invited him to my wedding when I got married. I wanted him to be there, and it was bigger than like just like boyfriend, girlfriend, and stuff. Like, I really respected him because I'm like, somebody's there for you, they're there for your child. People don't just do that. They gotta have some type of love for you, you
Mhm.
know? Their friends are not easy to come by, like, by far in this lifetime. You don't get many friends. So he's never hurt me physically, and he's never made me feel like he would, but he has done things that make me question his friendship at times. Yes.
Mhm. So what is the relationship between JaShyah and Clyde Muse at this time?
The relationship between them was always, like, I would say, a father and a daughter relationship when Jashaya was younger. But as Jashaya started, I guess, becoming a teenager, she started going through, changes that girls go through and things like that. And Mr. Muse would verbally say things to me that Jashaya would intervene on and say, "Don't talk to my mother like that. Why are you talking to mommy like that?" And Mr. Muse didn't like that. He didn't like that Jashaya would stand up for me. He didn't like that she would defend me. And it's like, the more that he would try to put me down or say something to try to hurt my feelings, and my daughter would try to defend me or step in, he didn't like that, you know? So you question, like I said, no, he's never hurt us. He's never done anything to harm me. But as far as being a friend, I questioned some of his motives or reasons why he would help at times. I had two children. I was trying to get out of a dangerous situation, and Omar had the space. I trusted him, and I had no, reason to, think anything, but okay, I have a safe place for us to go. We have a warm place to go. The kids are okay. They know who Omar is. It's not like he's a stranger. They're familiar with him. He even came to the house when me and my husband were married. He came by on Christmas and things like that. At one point, they were okay. They were friends. So I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think like I was putting them in a bad situation, because going into it, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a harmful situation or anything. It was just a friend helping a friend out.
Okay, so a couple of more questions. Want to talk about not the specifics of your domestic violence case, but some of the questions around it before JaShayah's disappearance. Were you in contact with your estranged husband, Justin Jackson?
No.
From what I understand, there was a case that was the case against your estranged husband was shortly within the time frame of JaShayah's disappearance. Did you have any conversations with her about her testifying or being involved in the case?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What was her mood about that?
Okay, mommy. She didn't show any, like, to me, she didn't show any concern. I got the paperwork, the mail that, I said, oh, okay, they're proceeding with the case, and I said, I'm going to follow through with the charges. We're going to have to testify. And I let Jashaya know that. And she said, okay, mommy. But she didn't show any, like she was afraid or like she didn't want to. I mean, he hit us both, and she saw him hit me, and he hit her, and it meant everything to me. Like, I'm not going to let a man put his hands on my daughter. I'm not going to choose a man over my family. I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to be that woman. I don't need a man. I don't need to be with a man, none of that stuff. So I told her, I'm pursuing the charges. We filed them, and I'm going to see it all the way through. And that was the plan.
Was your 3-year-old son, who was, I think, 2 at the time, was he there when the domestic violence incident happened?
Yes, he actually was there. Thank goodness Yoli was there because he actually ran in right behind my daughter. My daughter got hit. Jaden was right behind her, but my sister scooped him up just like in time, because I don't know what would have happened or what could have happened had she not been there, but Jaden ran in right behind JaShyah. So, but she was able to grab Jaden.
Okay.
And get her.
So at the time of, and Yoli is Yolanda, for those who are listening.
My sister Yolanda, yes.
After multiple attempts, Ark Republic was unable to secure a response from Mr. Justin Jackson to comment on Ms. Moore's allegations at press time.
What is, at the time of JaShayah's disappearance, what is the relationship between Mr. Muse and your estranged husband, Mr. Jackson?
To my knowledge, Mr. Muse and Mr. Jackson were not speaking. This is what he told me.
Okay.
But he did tell me that I should drop the charges.
That was my next question. Did anyone dissuade you not to pursue the case?
Yes, Mr. Muse.
What was his reasoning for that?
He said I should just let it go, you know, and we're not with him anymore, you know, just drop it and let, you know, him live his life and you live your life. That's what he said. Okay.
So now let's get to the morning that JaShyah disappears, which is October 14th.
Okay.
All right. So what happens from your perspective?
Shaya went out to the store. I gave her 2 cards, the card to get the food, and then I gave her the debit card to get paper towels. So she was going out to get those things. JaShyah went to the store. She called me from the store and she said that she had lost the card or whatever. She said she was on her way back. I said, okay, come back. So when she came back in the house, she came in and she said, you know, what she lost her. I said, JaShyah, you lost the card. I said, you gotta find that card. I was like, come on, JaShyah, they're about to cut me off. I said, I just got a letter saying I was no longer eligible. So it's gonna be hard for me to get another card. I said, you gotta find it. You gotta find it. Go back out, look for it, find it. I was, you know, like, I don't know.
So I have a question. So she had 2 cards. She had the SNAP EBT card and a personal debit card.
Yes, my personal debit card.
And she lost the SNAP EBT card, but not the personal one. Okay, no. Got you. All right. And so you told her, please go find it. You need to find it because my SNAP benefits are about to get cut off, and we need to. It's going to if the card is lost, then getting another card in the midst of this is going to be difficult. Okay.
Right, and not only that, but my son Jaden, he's allergic to milk, so he can't drink just whole milk regular. He drinks lactate. It's a little more expensive, but you know that's the milk he drinks. So I told her, I said, you know, we have to get the baby milk also. So I said it's going to take weeks. If they could send me another card, it's going to be a minute. So I'm like, you know, you just got to find it. Please, you know, go out, look for it, backtrack with your steps and find it. And she did. She went back out. After she went back out, I waited for, I'll say about a good 40 minutes. And I noticed that JaShyah didn't come back. And I'm like, so, but it still didn't, nothing in me thought anything was wrong. Nothing, you know, I didn't think, oh, well, this is, like, you know, I just was like, well, it's taking her a minute. So I said, let me put my stuff on and go see if I see her. Cause, you know, and when I put my stuff on, I went downstairs and I went to walk out, you know, to see if I saw her, like from where I lived to the corner, and I didn't see her. So then I started walking down to the corner, and I walked down, looked both ways up and down the street, and to see if I see her, because I knew what she had on, and I did not see her. So then I went to the bodega where, you know, I sent her to go. And I asked in the store, had they seen her? And they told me, yeah, they did about around like 7 something this morning. They said they had saw her. And I was like, yeah, but after that, did you see her? And the guy was like, no, he didn't see her after that. So then he was like, write your number down. And I said, okay. And I gave him my number. He said, if I see her, I'll tell her to call you, because they know who JaShyah is. She goes
Okay.
to that store all the time. So she's familiar with them, and they know who she is. So after that, I walked down to the Poppy's Deli. That's the store in the opposite direction. Because if she doesn't go, like, say I give her money for Fabuloso and stuff like that, she'll go to that store. If I like for food and stuff like that, she'll go to the deli. So I went down to the deli, and the young lady that was working, she said, I asked her, I showed her JaShayah's picture. I said, did you see my daughter today, or anytime today? And she said, yeah, I did see her. I saw her about 10 something. I said, you did? I said, that's weird. I said, I didn't see her out there, but I took the picture, came back, came out the store, and I'm just standing there. So I'm just looking. So I decided to walk back to the house, because I'm like, well, the door is open. So, she comes back in. I left the door open. I didn't lock it. I went upstairs. I went to Mr. Muse, and I said, Miss Omar, that's what we call him. And I said, JaShyah didn't come back yet. And he was like, oh, she shouldn't have. You shouldn't have never sent her out looking for the D card anyway. I'm like, whatever, Omar. So I went in the room, sat down. So now at this point, I'm just, I'm sitting up and just waiting. So again, going through my mind, I'm not thinking anything is wrong at this point. I'm like, well, maybe she can't find it. Maybe she's checking to see if somebody picked it up. But I'm not thinking anything is wrong or out of place at this point. I'm just like, well, where is she? So I go back, I wait about maybe another 40 minutes to an hour, and then I go back downstairs. I think throughout the course of that day, I might have gone out maybe about 6 times, just walking. Now, the last few times I went out, I saw neighbors along the way, walking to the corner. And I was like, asking them, did they see my daughter? And they say, yeah, I saw her. She looked like she was looking for something, like in the grass or on the sidewalk and stuff like that. So they had seen her. And I was like, well, she left out, but she never came back. Again, walk out to the corner, standing there. At this point, I'm tearing, because I'm like, what's going on? Like, where is she? I'm looking up and down, just because I'm like, it's only but so many places she'll go. JaShyah only goes from the house to the store and back home. She doesn't go anywhere else. So I'm looking up and down the street. At this point, I'm just like, I don't know what to think. Go back home to Mr. Muse. I'm like, Omar, I have a car, but my license was suspended. I asked him, I said, could you take me to ride around just to look for Shia? No, I ain't taking you to look for no damn Shia. You shouldn't have sent her back out there. Leave me alone. I got to get some sleep. Whatever, Omar. Go back to the room, sit down. So now I'm starting to worry, and just a million thoughts running through my head. Should I call the police? Should I not? I go in there to Mr. Muse. I'm like, Omar, I think I'm gonna call the police. Do what you gotta do. Do what you wanna do. You should have never sent her back out there. Okay, whatever. So then I sit back down and I'm like, well, I think you gotta wait a certain amount of time before you could report somebody missing. These are my thoughts of just what's going through my head. So I'm like, but I'm not sure. So I don't really know what to do. But after it got like towards the, like, I say evening, like once I'm like, okay, first I was like, I'm gonna give it to 3, like when the kids are coming out of school and stuff. And then I was like, okay, after that, she didn't come. I said, okay, I'm not letting dark catch without calling the police. Now I'm concerned. Now something is wrong. She has never done this before. She has never gone for this amount of time and stay out and without calling, because
she's never run away.
Never run away, ever. If if my child had a history of running away, you know what I'm saying? Automatically, I would have called the police and I would have, thought like, okay, did she run away? But JaShyah has never, never, ever run away before. Never, never. And then another thing is, JaShyah is, we all drive. So she doesn't really go to many places that she would just walk to, like only the bodega or something like that. But we drive everywhere else, like to this, like if we go into supermarket or something like that, like we're always driving. So she doesn't really know her way around too many areas or too many places.
Does she know how to catch public transportation?
She's never with me since she was born. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. And okay, so you alert the authorities, and then I'm assuming you call your family members.
Yeah.
And you tell your family members and close friends now that JaShyah is missing. What?
The way it went, it wasn't quite like that, because when I went to I walked back out one last time, I flagged down a police cruiser, and then that's when I told them that JaShyah was missing and she didn't come back from the store. And they were asking me what time she left, what did she have on, and things like, excuse me, things like that. And I explained everything to them. They said, okay, we're going to need you to walk to the house and we'll meet you there. So that's what I did. When they got there, I'm explaining everything to them. They asked me, any friends, anybody that, she may have gone, family house she may have gone to. I'm like, no, no, no. She wouldn't do that. She would come back. Like, really, at this point, I'm like, no, something has had to happen or something's wrong. She would never do this. Shia knows our number. She would call. If she didn't, not me, Omar, she would call somebody. I just kept repeating that, kept telling them, no, 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 you have to look for her. Something is wrong. By that point, I knew, I'm like, this is not normal. JaShyah would never stay out. And then she didn't call either one of us. I tried to wait. I tried to be, like just to see, like maybe, she was to backtrack and look for the car. Maybe, I don't know what to think at this point, but I'm telling the officer, I said, she never did this before. She never did this before. Never.
So when you gave the officer or officers the report and information, what did they tell you what they were going to do or what you needed to do moving forward?
Okay, so first and foremost, if she comes back, to give them a call, or if I hear from her, to give them a call. They took the report. He gave me like a little CC number written down that was for the report number, and then he said, they'll put, I guess, look out for her. And they said, if she contacts you, contact us immediately. That's what they told me.
Okay, and so when is the next time that you hear from them?
Oh, the next time I hear from them would probably be that next day.
Okay.
The detectives, we were in communication, they will call me, I will call them. At this point, I'm like, what do we need to do? where do we go from here? Poster, missing person poster, her picture, At this point, I believe I had called my Yolanda and explain everything to her. And she came right over. And from that point, we printing up flyers, we're writing, information down, getting flyers made, putting them up at the last location where she was seen. We're handing the flyers out up and down Central Avenue. East Orange is pretty, it's a very like small, little town, but it's like most of the people there, like I'm from East Orange. I grew up in East Orange all my life. And so did Mr. Muse and JaShyah. Also, had been in East Orange for a long period of time. So most people know us, so as we're handing out the flyers and we're going in the stores and giving the flyers, and they're like, are you serious? No, not her. No, she is such a sweet girl. What's going on? Like, they're like, she went missing. I'm like, yeah, she went out to look for my car and she never came back. No one saw her. I mean, we had nothing. At that point, we started questioning. We know there's cameras. My husband used to use them to look at what I was doing and send me screenshots of wherever I was at. So I know these cameras work.
Oh, hold on for a minute. What type of cameras are you talking about?
But it can't. All right. So on the streets, they have little video cameras that record the whole block. They're probably about every 20 feet, maybe 25, every other like where the street lights
So you're
are.
talking about like not only they were street cameras, but they were police surveillance street cameras.
Right.
And you're saying that you knew that these cameras recorded because your husband used to use the cameras to track you?
Yes, he did.
This is before the domestic violence incident,
Yes.
and he would send you screenshots.
Yes. Me and my sister Yolanda would go out, like say if we went out to dinner or something, and I'll get a ping to my phone, like, where are you? And I'll say, I'm out with my sister. No, you're not. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he'll send me a picture in front of the area in East Orange where I was, the restaurant, of me.
The cameras Miss Moore is referring to are part of East Orange's state-of-the-art tracking system where the department can detect gunshots as well as monitor footage in a network along Central Avenue, the main thoroughfare in the city. The network totals over 60 cameras. Included in this law enforcement system, a NewJersey.com report said that East Orange Police Department officers monitor the footage in real time from police headquarters to deter crime by shining a high-powered light on potential criminal activity like a drug dealer or car theft.
You're now asking the authorities. You're talking about, you are right now solely in conversation with East Orange Police Department, and you're asking them, what about the cameras? I know the cameras work because my husband has used them to surveil me.
Right.
And what is their response?
Well, it's not that simple, it's a lot of footage, it's a lot of hours of, time we got to go through. I'm like, well, I mean, it didn't take him that long. I mean, on several occasions, like within minutes. So I'm like, I don't understand. I'm like, you guys, I know you can see her walking the technology, those cameras are amazing. Like I don't even understand, like from the point that she left, they should have been able to pick her up immediately. But for some reason, they said that it take a little longer. They had to go through, the hours of the tape and things like that. So,
So let me ask this question, and this is me returning to this question. When I spoke to your sister Yolanda Aguilera about the case, she said that the family felt that at some point there was a sense of a lack of urgency by local law enforcement, meaning by East Orange Police Department, the same department that your estranged husband worked at, was on suspension at this department. What was it that caused you, or the moment where you felt that there was clearly in your mind a lack of urgency?
Well, I just felt at a certain point that, like in my mind, if a child is missing, everything stops. All hands on deck. We need FBI, we need media, we need at very least local coverage. That's not what happened. I asked about an Amber Alert, and I was told that it didn't fit the criteria because there was no um, reason for them to think that, I guess, JaShyah had been abducted. I don't care about the criteria. You have a missing girl, you have what she was wearing, you know what she looks like. Put out APB on, like, I didn't understand that process with the Amber Alert, why, they couldn't let people know that JaShyah was missing right away. I think, well, I don't like to say I think, I believe that it was handled as a runaway situation from the beginning, even though I had stressed that no, this was not a runaway situation. I said, I'm concerned something is wrong. She would never do this. I had no reason to think she would ever do anything like that. And so I just felt that if something bad had happened or if she had been abducted, me being a parent, my window period to find her was narrowing down. And I felt like, next to going to doors and banging on them myself, I felt like maybe there should have been cops knocking on doors, maybe, checking houses, things like that,
So Ms. Moore, what did you express to someone at East Orange Police Department that there should have been more?
several times. And
Who?
I was told
I'm
that
sorry.
all I needed to do
Mhm.
was to comply, and anything that may be useful to the investigation, please, allow them that information or to give it to them. And that's what I did. I felt helpless. I felt powerless. I felt like there wasn't, I I can't describe to you the feeling that I felt, the thoughts that went through my head. You know, it was surreal. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know if, that I don't know.
So what made you then take matters into your own hand and move up the brass, so to speak, and begin to
Because
talk to other
they're
people?
approaching day 3.
Mhm.
And usually if a child goes missing, and whether you do research, you watch it in a movie, you just know, like, time is of the essence at that point. Like, she could be in another state, you know what I'm saying, by tomorrow. So it meant everything. Like, we need like hands on, like, we need to be out here. We need to be doing something. From that point, it's time to call the FBI.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to part 1 of our exclusive interview with Ms. Jamie Moore. Tune into part 2 tomorrow night at 8 p.m. on ARC Republic.